Sound.
So, G Mike,
Yeah, man, you got your.
you're live, G Mike, you're live.
Yeah, you just turned your song on. All right, greetings. All right, greetings in the name of all that is good. I imagine you're hearing me. I was not hearing the music. See why? That's why I figured we weren't on. Welcome to another edition. Yeah, you got you. Welcome to another edition of our Thursday podcast. We do this every week. Kriol Awakening is the word I like. Belize awakening because we have to cross those ethnic lines. I'm going to talk a bit about that tonight. Anyway, we join you every Thursday evening. I'm expecting soon our three co-hosts. We have no scapegoats, no sacred cows, no fear or favor, no agendas, personal, political, or otherwise. We deal with the facts full frontal, honest, just opinionated, of course, because we're dealing with as human beings, we have opinions, but we try not to get it murkied by any personal feelings or again any type of agendas of any sort. We want to welcome you. Um, we know that we have some regular listeners every week, and we don't take that for granted. We invite you to join in if there are any comments you want to make, any suggestions you have, any topics you want to cover. By all means, we have four people on this panel: myself, Jeremy Spooner, Joe Cowie, and of course Gregory Morrison. And here comes the private citizen Spooner as a representative of the Atheist Committee. Um,
The
believe it,
atheist?
atheist, you're a non-believer, aren't you? That's what you told me the other day, or
Well, I
something.
don't believe in religion, but I am skeptical of their God, and I believe that I don't know. I just believe that maybe there is something responsible. We just can't come from nothing. But I don't believe in the biblical God or whatever.
You
Muhammad,
don't.
Muhammad Ali, and all those guys. I don't. I don't. I believe they were people, but I don't believe they represent God, the
You
superior
mean
being.
you mean Muhammad, not Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was a
Sorry,
boxer.
Muhammad.
Just yeah.
Muhammad.
So
Yeah.
I know
Muhammad the prophet.
yeah,
I
but
hope they don't kill me for that because you know that if you say anything negative about them, they get upset. No? So
I yeah, but I don't think you're saying anything negative. You're just saying that you don't believe in that, and just as they have a right to believe, you have a
yeah,
right to not believe.
yeah.
I
But
personally believe that there is something. Yes, I believe you can call him God. Somebody suggested that God is an acronym for good, orderly direction. I like that because I mean
okay,
you can't ask for nothing better than that, no. But
okay.
now, as far as the creation and whatnot and heard occurred, I think we did evolve from a state of nature, as Joe like to talk about, no? Where there was a time when we just held a skelter, everybody do what they want. There were no rules and no kind of expectations of anybody. We have come out of that now, but one wonders if we're not going back in to that, given all that is transpiring recently.
Yeah.
The
Well, with all the advancements in technology and social issues and everything, we're still warring with each other. That's just the nature of man, no? We're like that. We're tribal. We're territorial. That's what I believe. Yeah. And so for the
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, and
you're being quite
everybody wants to
flippant with.
secure their territory. Everybody wants to secure their territory, and sometimes that means war. You know,
You're quite flippant with that because there's no whose
because
territory
the
was being. No, but
reality.
tell me in this situation here that we're currently looking at, whose territory was being defended in that? Because you say we war because we defend the territory. Whose territory was being defended?
Well, the people who are waging war, Israel doesn't feel comfortable with them, and we are a great ally of Israel. And so Israel, I mean America, being a good ally, is now protecting Israel.
Well, whose
So
territory is it? I mean, how did it come to be
Iran,
Israel's
Iran
territory?
is Persia. Well, it's for the Iranians, yeah. But
Okay,
according to all the information, they're a threat. That's the idea behind the invasion of Iran. That they're destabilizing the Middle East, but the Middle East has always been destabilized from way back, from
I,
when my ancestors were living in caves. They were always unstable, always warring with each
I
other.
hear that, and that's not true. People
But
were
they never
living.
they all lived in harmony. Yes, okay.
They were living. I mean, there's been squabbles among peoples, but I don't think you can say they were destabilized to the point where they are now. I mean,
It's
that
religious too, Sunni and Shiite. The Iranians, I believe, are Shiite, or I can't remember which one, and the Saudi Arabians are Sunni. And there's a warring faction right there. They're at odds with each other.
hold up. You have Protestants and Catholics on this side of the
Yes, okay.
world.
Well, no, we're talking about Iran. They talk about
No,
Protestants
no, no.
and
But you
Catholics.
can't,
Yeah, I
you
think that's
can't,
for their problems
but
too.
you're pointing that out as if that are the cause
Well, you
of
asking
some
me
of the
about
problems.
Iran. Well,
Right.
you asked me about Iran.
But then you're talking about the different sects
Well,
of
I'm
the
trying
religion
to.
out there. But that
Um,
doesn't necessarily mean that they're at odds with each other all the time. They've been living together for a while. You know when this all started? 1948. 1948, when Israel, in contravention to the Charter of the United Nations of 1945, that established all permanent borders and said there's going to be no more colonization, no more development. It's just after that, the United States came up with the Monroe Doctrine, which basically said the same thing, but they were dealing with this part of the world. Now, when that happened, it was an illegal state because they couldn't have done that without the consent of the Palestinian people. Why couldn't they just go there and coexist with everybody there, as opposed to wanting to spread out and all this new settlements and whatnot? Have you seen that? Have you seen a woman that calls herself the Queen of Settlement? And they were considering her for the Nobel Peace Prize.
yeah. Well,
And,
the big mistake was giving them the state of Israel. Now that we can see, but like I keep saying, you're not going to chase the Israelis out. You got a new generation that born there, live there.
all
It's
right,
75 years, so you're not
all
change
right,
that. One of
all
them will
right,
have to leave. One of them will have
all
to
right.
leave.
All right, you know what?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I certainly believe that anybody who borns anywhere has a right to claim that land as theirs. So all the Israelis that were born in Palestine can be considered citizens of Palestine, but not Israel, because Palestine was a state long before Israel came into existence. And the
And who
confusion
got
of
no? That Palestine was not. They never had a government. They were always conquered. They were
well,
conquered for the last 400 years by the Ottoman Empire, and then after World War One, the British take over.
but just because you
Palestine
come,
never ruled themselves. They were
but
always under occupation.
hold up. They were not.
Hold up,
That
hold
is
up,
not
hold up, hold
true.
up. What? That is
Hold
true.
up.
Check it out.
Yeah, hold up. No, 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 no. Go dig up into your AI,
Yeah.
because Palestine has been there for a long time. In
Yeah.
fact, the Monroe Doctrine, which is what brought about the state of Israel, suggested that they were allowed to move into the state of Palestine. It says it
The
right
Monroe
there.
Doctrine. No, isn't the Monroe
Not the
Doctrine?
Monroe Doctrine. I'm talking about the Balfour Declaration
Yes,
of
there you go. There you go.
1917, which
Yes.
gave allowance for them to go and
Yeah.
settle there. And
Yeah.
which brings me to the connection I wanted to make with right here in Belize, because the same thing that the British did with the Israelis over there, they actually did with the Garunaga in Belize, where they gave them the permission to come and settle in the land. There's a big fuss today on Facebook about some lady, and it was yesterday, I believe it came out, using a derogatory term and calling our next lady Carol. And of course, there was a hellfire raised. I think, though, that I don't know that the Garinagu uh, uh, might not need to look at that word again and wonder why they consider it a derogatory term. And I'll point out to you, we're going to the Bible with this, because there are many words that you use CH as a key. You're aware of that, like Kazim, chiropractor, anchor. These are all spelled with a CH, but it's pronounced as a K. Now, in the Bible, it speaks of God placing two cherubs, and it's Cherub. And if you could look at that in that regard, it is exactly it's spelled exactly that way, and we pronounce it cherub because we have not considered that, because ch actually is pronounced in many instances, more than 280 something words. It's pronounced as a K. I don't see why
So
it
that's
wouldn't
how
be.
you get Kerob. Yeah, that's how you get that word. Yes.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, there's a
Okay.
possibility of that, which would not then be a derogatory term, but
Yeah.
actually the term for somebody that was supposed to be of, well, an angel, actually, and that
So
guarded
what?
Eve.
So what does it mean when Kriol call me white Kerob? What does that mean? Is that
Well,
insulting?
in your case, the white part are the insulting part, but the other part are compliments, so they kind of balance it out. Joe, good evening. Welcome to the show.
Good evening,
Good
gentlemen.
evening, Joe.
Yeah,
Evening, Joe.
but
I
Good
see
evening.
Joe the
yeah,
sporty big gold chain. You see the big gold chain there,
Right.
Gina?
If I can hold this up.
yeah,
Hide it, hide it.
you know, I come in a mind about with that.
Hey, he's like one of them gangbangers now.
Exactly.
The man, the bling.
Yeah,
You
the
can't.
thing, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
guys. But no. This controversy, and I'm wondering if we'll, and in particular in this current day and age, we'll have to find a way to bridge the divide between our ethnic groups. Even you, Spoon, even the white man will have to understand that on a do lot of thing now. There's a lot on a got for answer to, but not to any of us particular. We all, every man has his own share of wrongdoing and errors that he has made in life, no? But we have to learn to live together, because there are what percentage of Belizeans at this point do you think is of the Caucasian persuasion?
Very few. I think we are listed as other in the statistics. They don't call us Belizean Europeans or Anglo Belizeans. We are on the other, and I think we represent like 3%.
Yeah, but you're a part of the society
I'm an
because,
other. Yeah, I wanted to make a T-shirt that says "I am an other."
okay, and I'll take your word for it.
No, no, yeah, you look it up. It's in this because I looked it up because I wanted to know one time. Because when
Yeah,
I was growing up, I was very rare. I was a rare, but now you've had a lot of Americans, a lot of Europeans that
a
have
lot of
moved to
expats.
Belize.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people have retired here too, but you got a lot of people that have married Belizean women or Belizean men,
Yeah.
and the white population has increased, but they're very quiet. They don't say nothing. They're in the background, and they don't really get in. I don't know. Maybe the power plays in the background that I don't know about, but they're very quiet. They're not out. They're not outspoken.
But
Well,
don't
you
you
could
think?
go now to Mennonites. What I think Mennonites are represented separately in the statistics of
But aren't
ethnic.
they also considered amongst those
Well,
other?
they're white. Yeah, they're white.
Yeah.
They're white.
But but
But they
but
but
are
they
we?
but they are a group. They're called Mennonites, and I don't know what percentage they represent, but they're along there with the Maya, with the Garufuna, with the Creole, with the Mestizo, and so on.
But
They,
even the
they,
Mennonites now are now integrating into the mainstream,
Yeah, but then
because
they
then,
get kicked out. They get kicked out of their because their religion, I think, doesn't allow that. Right? They're very
you're serious? They're not. They, because I know
no,
a
they get
couple who are married.
expedited. Yeah, and get kicked out of the community.
I don't think so, Jeremy. I don't think so. I know a
Yes,
guy right now who married to a black girl, and he's still living in their community in Blue Creek. I don't think, no, we have to look into that. Maybe you need to AI that. But
maybe
uh,
things have changed, but not as far as I know. Yeah,
No,
the point,
they're not ostracized again.
I don't think so. I don't think they are.
So I have known of a few of them who do marry outside, and they are living right among now the Mennonites in Spanish Lookout, for example.
Yeah.
Coming back
Well,
to the
uh,
statistics, which is interesting, is that we can remember them begin with the mestizo, which is the highest number. And then the next high number, which is the Kriol, is about 25%. And then from there it came down. And I think you had the Mayans, and then you had the Garifuna, and then you come down and they give you the Chinese and the Indians. Sorry, they give the Mennonites before. And then they give the Chinese and Indians combined. And from there, they just say the other.
you're talking, Joe, about current statistics.
Right, the
Be-
last census,
because
the last
going
census.
going back to like about 1970, which is fairly recent, then you would have had a different figure then for in particular the Creole, correct?
Oh,
Uh,
yes.
uh,
1970, as 1970, the Creole was about 71%.
yeah. And they, well, of course, with the migration and whatnot,
Right.
uh,
I think a lot of the migration had to do with the mestizo having gone so high up.
right.
The amount that had migrated during the period of the Civil War in Central America, they all
They
became
came in and we went out.
they became Belizeans. In fact, when they give the first amnesty with the United Nations support, of course, finance, it was about 50,000 alone.
But don't you think that it's time, though, in particular, again, given the current geopolitics of the world, that we're gonna have to bridge the gap. We have to come together. And we're too small to be. That was my problem with the Mayans wanting to be down. They had their own exclusive area down south. And even the Mennonites, they seem to be drawing off in their own side to that Spanish Dakota and Blue Creek. And then, well, the Garinago is spread out, but they tend to also um, concentrate down in like Stan Creek and maybe PG, no?
Well, what my major concern is, and again, I don't want to be sounding xenophobic, I'm not against foreigners, but what I am, one of my major concern, ask yourself, who controls the commanding heights of the economy today in this country? Let's take merchandising first, because we are still predominantly a merchandising country.
Hmm.
But who you think control the commanding heights there?
I would say the Chinese have a firm grip on it.
It's a
And the
fact.
Hindus and the
And
Indians.
the Chinese and the Indians, and even the Chinese more. And no, if they represent maybe 3-4% of the population, you see how skewed it is. If 4% can control the commanding heights of your economy, and then now if you go into areas like maybe the manufacturing area, which we are still very low in, of the three areas, that is the lowest in terms of the GDP.
Yeah.
Again,
Let,
again, you can find more the Mennonites in that area.
let's let Lisa let her acknowledge their contribution. While Mennonites are represented by their cultural practices and beliefs, their race is still white. Yes, I don't think that there's any contention to that. I think they are, and they consider themselves white. Good night, Julia. Um, but
But the
Joe,
But we
Mennonites
are
are,
white, but we're all different cultures, just like Africa. They're all
well,
the
different
Mennonites,
cultures,
we're
but they're
all
all black.
people. We're
but the
all
Yeah.
people and
Mennonites,
different.
as far as I know, the Mennonites race-wise are Caucasians.
Yeah, they're Caucasian people, they're white people, yeah.
Yeah,
All
that's why
right.
they
About the intermarriage thing there. I did my AI checkup, and it says that the different groups have different restrictions, and some groups, if you belong to the church, you can't intermarry. But the what like the Shipyard and Barton Creek, they don't allow it. But
that's
Spanish Lookout allows it as long as you're a member of the church.
that is correct. You'll find that the smaller communities like Springfield and the one you named just now, they are considered ultra conservative,
Yes, yeah.
ultra, and they don't want to marry outside their race.
Are you saying, Spooner, that if you marry a Mennonite, if you join the church, you're okay, but you have to join the church? Is that it to be
That's
accepted?
what they're saying here. Yeah, yeah,
But it
Yeah.
depends. That's why he's depending on which group.
yeah.
Because
Which
remember,
group? Yeah.
yeah, the big groups here have the Spanish Lookout and the one up north, where you name where they have
Yeah.
the hydro. Those are the two big ones.
Yeah.
Blue
Now
Creek,
they, yeah, Blue Creek, and they
yeah.
are beginning. They have started to assimilate sometime now. But the other
They
ones
say
like
that.
Springfield, and they are very ultra conservatives, and they don't want phone. They don't want no car. No
Yeah,
car.
yeah. Drive on the highway without mule and cat.
Right,
Yeah,
and they're like extremists. You know what? They don't want outsiders in.
yeah. But I don't know because what if we were that we would not have let them in. So I think they have to look at that and understand if they're part of Belize, then they're Belizeans, and it should hold true for all our ethnic groups.
Yeah.
We have to be one. We're too small to divide ourselves like that. And this is the point I'm getting to. Lisa was suggesting we need a new definition for mixed races, but I don't know. At the end of the day, we all got two hands, 2 feet, 10 toes, 10 fingers. We eat, we shit the same way. Everything is the same except our mentality. And this is where we have to come together and understand that if we're going to be a country that's going to be independent and thrive, then we have to unite. And it's
Yeah,
as
I just want to
simple as
make
that.
a correction. I made a mistake. It's the traditional old colony Mennonites in Shipyard and Little Belize strictly prohibit intermarriage,
That's
and
right.
those who do are often expelled from the church. But
That's
then
right.
the other ones, the ones from Upper Barton Creek, allow members to marry people from other cultures if the partner is a member of their church. And then, of course, Spanish Lookout has changed over time and they allow it to occur. So I just made a mistake there. But what you were saying, the traditional, really old Orthodox Mennonites don't allow it. Yeah. The
But
ones
those,
that don't.
those are fast becoming a small minority of
Yeah.
even the Mennonites. You don't see many of them anymore. They're hanging out that I leave
Yeah.
Blue Creek, well,
Yeah,
not
with the
even
little
Blue Creek,
buggy and all
Springfield.
of that, the little buggy, and they don't use telephones or they're not supposed to. No electronics, no electricity, you know. So no electrical, no motor vehicles, things like that.
They
Yeah,
are
that's
ultra conservatives.
yeah. I couldn't live like that. I'll be honest with you.
But coming back to our point that I think that the chairman was making, and I like the
Yes.
David comment on it, because he's saying that we are all human beings with this and with that, and why is it that we are behaving the way we do? Well, that proves to us that racism is a social construct. It is a social construct, and it is believed that the only way we'll deal with it is to deconstruct it. Now, how do you deconstruct a social construct? We are one group after so many decades and centuries may believe that another group is inferior. You realize that there was a time right here in Belize, a person would mind be described. If something happened and they wanted to describe it, what he look like? Oh, he's a white man. That is okay. But you go say I'm a black man. Black man, black people used to take offense to being called black. Right in Belize.
Well, that has changed though.
It has. No, it has. And I'm saying that
Yeah.
that changed to a great extent. And again, I give credit to the UBAD movement who had done a lot
Black consciousness.
to
Yeah,
bring consciousness, correct. So
yeah. But some
Now,
people
what
have
what do
taken
Black
it.
Belizeans want to be called now, Joe? What's the modern term that they want to use to describe who they are?
well, I think today have come to accept black, that we are black,
Black. Okay.
we are
Yeah.
black,
All
we
right.
are black.
Yeah.
But the point I wanted to make is that I know for a fact that black people would want to encourage their children to marry to a white person.
You still are still
No, I
that
would
still
say used to.
exists.
Used to. Now it might be there, but not in any systemic way. But it was so they felt that they uplift the mother, especially mothers, but fathers too, wanted their children, brown skinned black children, to marry one white person.
There's one particular quote that comes to mind when we discuss matters like this, and Martin Luther King Jr., who said, "Judge not a man based upon the color of his skin, but by the content of his character." And I don't know if it could get more profound than that. And indeed, for the most part, that's what we tend to do. We tend to judge. We look at a person like Spooner, a white man, and I look at him as a white man. But how about looking at Spooner as a person who got some messed up characteristics? Then I could understand we discriminate against him. But just by the fact that he happens to be a different shade, it makes absolutely no sense. I know that one idealistic trend, a thought there, but we're going to have to look at it closer if we're going to get within a shouting distance of some
But even,
harmony.
but even before Martin Luther King, take the Minikanje tribe. The Minikanje tribe was known for making the statement that it's not the pigment of a man's skin that makes him a Minikanje, but it's the love that he shares with a fellow brother. That was what the Minikanje thought was.
And
Well,
we could,
I know I am white, but a lot of uno make I know I white. But
all right.
to me, either just me.
Yeah,
Either
but
just me.
when you're looking at the mirror, what you see?
I see me.
Okay, but
All right. You
no,
could understand that. I see
I
me.
that easy to understand.
But you don't believe that, but I see me.
But I don't know if you believe it.
I
Do
believe it.
you feel privileged by being a white person?
No, because I've been at the end of the stick of racism, yeah. So,
You
but you know
don't.
what? It blew over like a little breeze over my head. It like water on a duck's back. I don't make it bother me.
I don't
If
like.
I could have all the incidences of racism against me growing up, if I could have hold on to them, I would have not like no. But I
But
don't do that
yeah, but if you don't
because
hold
I
that
look at you
again.
just like another human being with prejudices.
Not run past it, not run past it. If you
Don't
would
run
hold
past
that
what?
up against, if you would hold that up against the prejudices and the racism that's occurred from you to others, or
Like
not
what?
you, your kind to others, but
No. Don't
what,
talk
like
about
what?
me. Don't talk
There's
about my kind.
no
Talk about me.
discrimination. Well,
Talk about who have I been racially discriminated against in the name?
I couldn't answer that. I'm not with you all the time. You could answer
You
that. Would
can't.
you
You can't bring
answer
up
it?
one. Nobody could bring up one. Nobody can. I challenge
Well,
anybody
to,
out there for tell
well,
them
to the
that
leave
I'm a
white man.
racist or discriminate.
Well, I'm to the
Huh?
leave white then when we come and go in the battle there I am persecute them for it. Remember you said leave white me gone in your place and go in the battle there? You don't
And I've
remember
never
that?
taken any lead boy for you. Must be thinking about another white man or one of your own people.
No, our conversation I had with you, Jeremy.
No, I don't see nobody that church for battle. I mean, a prison for battle.
Did you catch
Oh,
a couple of guys that thief battle out there, yeah?
well,
I caught a guy that jump out in my a guy, old man that jump over my fence and gone in there, make a lot of mess and take my bottles and I tell him force him back for put the bottles back. I never took him to court.
I mean,
but,
So that's
but,
I'm racist because I stopped one man who happened to be black in my property to steal my bottle
oh,
and I'm racist
now
because
we get to the point
huh?
where me black. I bet you
I tell you, I'm a racist, huh?
bet you one white man
Some
me jump
man.
over there
Huh?
bet
If
you
there be
that
a
white
white
man me
man, I'm
jump
gonna shoot your ass.
you may give him more battles.
but brother Spooner,
And I get the rest of the battle, yeah. There
if
you
I like
go.
what he calling him, I don't think the chairman of a white man.
Yeah, no, the truth. When I go back by Twain house, when I first gone there and ask, where G. Michael live, and then they look at me puzzled and say, "Oh, the white man that live back here, man." Oh, they say, "Oh, right over there." So
Mhm.
he's considered white in abilities. He's a white man.
You think so? All right.
Where you a Royal Creole? A
Yeah.
lighter shade of Royal Creole.
I unfortunately I didn't have the resources, the kind of status that would have made me any royal Creole like that at all. I grew up in the ghetto in right deep south side and where I still live. So that now, but again, all that I think that problem we have to tackle front on and seriously, and we have to stop the sweep this under the rug and push it in our corner because it faces us every day. And for us to survive as a nation, we will have to be united.
I come back to
Well, we
the
need to talk about it. I'm not offended.
yeah. I
You
think we
know.
should talk about it, and I think that we talk about it in the context. For example, I do like the definition given by Martin Luther King about the contents of your character.
Mhm.
Because the truth about it, if I was to say that I am proud to be a white man or I am proud to be a black man, is that relevant for you to be proud to be a black man or a white man? Or just proud to be a human being? with dignity, self worth, and respect.
I think that there it is. I think that everything in a nutshell. Because you can, when you say you're proud to be a black, a white man, then what am I to be? If you say I look like a white man, and then I don't get accepted though as a no white man. I've never gone anywhere and been accepted as a white man, but I've never tried to push myself as that. But then it doesn't matter because I go there as a man. And I remember seeing the poetry had a movie. Remember that was it, To Serve with Love?
No.
No. It was Guess Who's Coming to Dinner?
Right.
When he and his father had a conversation, and his father was trying to get he took home a white girl, and he said to his father, he said, Father, he said, Dad, you know what the thing is here? For these many years you've seen yourself as a black man. I have seen myself as a man. And that summed it all up there, I believe. Here we have Greg is in the house. Good evening, sir. I hope
Good
the
evening.
traffic.
Sorry about being late. Yeah.
I know that traffic is in Los Angeles.
Oh man. And I tried to
You
get
know-
off the freeway, and it took me an extra half hour.
You know, G Mike, when I first went to America, I went to Boston, and Boston have a lot of Italians and Irish there. And the company that I was working for, there weren't very many blacks working there. But you had one guy called Oro. He was from Haiti. He was head of security. And my first recollection of raw racism that came up was I was with these white people, and they were very nice people. And then Oro came to talk to them. And then when he turned his back and walked away, you know what they said? Can you believe that effing nigger came up here and talked to us? And I was shocked because I've never witnessed that in life before. I cut those people off. They insulted another friend of mine, a Jamaican friend of mine, Charles Ross, who came to visit me, and I took them to a barbecue, and they were very racist towards him. I cut those people off. And after that, I met a bunch of Americans, white Americans, that were beautiful people, not a racist bit in them. And those were my friends. So, you got your good and bad. And I've met black racists in America too, so I get caught in the middle, no?
Well, here's a man who could talk a bit about that too. Greg, I'm sure you've experienced some of the racism, Greg, or have you been
You
spared of it?
I have, but not a lot, not a lot. And the funny thing is, I have throughout my predominance working in the United States, I've worked in companies where sometimes for the longest of time, big companies, where I was the only black engineer, the only black person. Maybe they had a clerk or a receptionist that was black, but as engineers, I was the only black. I work with a big company in Los Angeles, and again, I was the only black engineer there. Parsons Corporation. At that time, I'm sure by now they have done better, but this was back in 1984. So, yeah, I have experienced racism. I have not experienced it a lot. In my life, I don't know if it's the circle I'm with, the surroundings I travel in or not, but I'm sure at times when you probably walk away, like Jeremy says, people make comments that are not present. So what I don't hear doesn't bother me. Somebody challenge me. If somebody says something to me, I will recognize that person for who they are, and I won't deal with them. But I've never had to really confront it in its rawness.
I've always
Once I went for a job interview. Just let me tell you a quick anecdotal story. Once I went for a job interview and I met the first manager that was interviewing for the job, and he was very satisfied with my qualifications. And then he says, "But you know what? I don't make the final decision. You have to wait until my boss comes and he makes the decision." So this job was to go, and in this time, this was back in the early 90s. We didn't have all the networking stuff that we do now in terms of stock quotes and things like that. And so this company was called Cotran Coat. And I don't know if you, when you were here in the States or at that time, G Mike, they probably had the little ticker symbols in the banks and different places that showed what the stock quote was. It gives you the insignia for the stock, and then it gives you the price. And that was how we used to get active information for people on the road and stuff, how stocks were doing. It just listed a few and the major ones. Well, this company placed those ticker boards in banks and different places. So when the manager came, I saw how he looked at me, and when he questioned me, he kind of said something that inferred, I wouldn't mind hiring you, but I don't know if the banks that you'll be going to will be happy with a black person being the person that will be the engineer going there and investigating their infrastructure and then designing a system for them. So that was the first time I think I experienced it in a job environment.
Did you get
And
hired eventually?
that
Did you?
was that it kind of occurred to me that I didn't get that job because of the. No, that's why I said that's the first time I experienced it, that I felt like I didn't get the job, was that because I was a black person.
Yeah, and this was as late as the 90s. You said
This
this was
was
that.
this was this was back in about 88, 89.
Okay, okay, yeah, that recent too. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
we had moved leaps and bounds by then.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
Do you
but
know
I
something which is interesting, guys? Is that because I was brought up in a black community, I was a minority, but everybody else was different than me. That when I went to the States or England, I found myself congregating to people of color. So explain
Yeah.
that one
but
there to me.
but if you look at us in Belize, we had different ethnic groups in our class in school,
Yeah,
and this was way back. We had a couple of white boys that were in class, as far as I remember, and we didn't. I didn't see that until I also got to the U.S. But this was
yeah,
way back in '69, and I went to try and get my hair cut, and the guy told me we don't trim your kind in here. Straight out like that. So, and that was more racism than other people ever get. I was put out the barber chair and out the barber shop.
Wow.
And I went to school, and when I went got my lunch, I just decided I was going to sit in the table first day of school. And when I got to the table, the guys there told me, you can't, you have to go sit over there, and I point to an area where the black guys were sitting down. And that was when I got conscious of who I really am as far as ethnic group is concerned. Then I came back to Belize, because in Belize, I didn't, there was no, I didn't see the black and white thing as such. And maybe because my grandfather was the complexion of you, Gregory. But when I got back now to Belize, and I got on SJC, play some ball, and the guys, I dribble the ball, and the guy said, pass the ball, white boy. And if you want culture shock, there it is. And like I mean, now which one now? So it not bother me for like schooling like call me white boy and whatnot, and other people can. It really, because at the end of the day, inside of me is which lives me. And all of this get cut by a hand and bleed red. All of it were born and will die. So I mean, where you are? How you want to put yourself above any other human being when all of us were given this earth as our place of residence? I think it's ridiculous. But we were talking, Gregory, about a conversation that a lady was tipped, referring to another lady as they had some kind of fight, must be over a man or something. I don't know what, but he said on Carob, and then he caught himself. I said,
Oh.
you see, got me the call on that. And I'm saying, at some point, though, the one it's termed as a derogatory thing, but I don't know if there's a difference if she was referring to her as that being that makes her a bad person, or if she was indeed a person of that ethnic group, and she was just referring to her in that way. it is considered derogatory. Uh, but
I think
again,
all of us know that word is derogative, and I
Yeah,
think when you use it, you're using it to insult the other person. That's how I
yeah,
feel.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You're
I
trying to derate them in some way, degrade them. The term, if you want, is the modern term they got is garugunu or garifuna,
uh,
but we used to say Carib at one point,
Yes.
and I think
Yeah.
that was the more appropriate usage of reference.
but they used to refer to themselves as Caribs, black Caribs, actually, no?
Yes, yes,
Uh,
yes,
um, so
yes.
I think though that fortunately, yes, we have discontinued using that word. You don't hear it, and it is scorned upon. So just like in the U.S. when they refer to you as a nigger, you don't hear it much anymore. Though you hear it amongst groups, because groups will call themselves that. I was talking to a good friend, Bill Guerrero, and he was telling me about how upset he was with Miami at one point. You know, Miami was referring to himself as King Kero. That is his stage name.
Hmm.
I don't know that he has changed it since, but he certainly got some slack behind it. But I imagine it's acceptable if you call. I remember Evan Hyde had referred to me one time as a Mingo. You're familiar with that term?
I've heard it before. Yeah, yeah.
And that is supposed to
Is,
be a derogative for a clear skinned
yeah.
Creole.
Is that the same as Waika? The same.
No, no,
No,
why
no,
kind
no.
of an ethnic group, actually, I believe, a
Oh,
type
okay.
of, Joe, help me out, because I don't know, you've been around. Why,
Yeah.
why kind of Indian or something, right?
Well, there's somebody, there's some, I forget how they mix, but they mix and then come out white. But
Yeah.
that was some kind of genetics. But they come out white, so they
That
call
that
them
Joe
white.
Grind, that the white Joe Grind. Yeah.
Actually,
But
eh,
I like the way how people like Bob Marley, Martin Luther King, and the many countries that I spoke of before. And I would say the Ubad movement in Belize. I think what they were telling us as human beings, and I believe in that strongly. In fact, my mother instilled that in me. Don't let any man ever define your self-worth. If you allow them to do that, then you're a slave to them. You design your self-worth, and that makes you a free person. So, if you look at me and you call me Alobede Panya, and you call me Karobi, I would ignore you because you can't define me. But if I allow that to irritate me and provoke me to the point I want to box you or I want to fight you, then I give in to you for defining me. You can't define me.
and you're acting like what they're defining you as.
But
That's
not
why I
everybody has that. Not everybody have that tolerance to deal with that. You know that it takes a much mature stage of coming to that realization. So
well, that's
the
what I'm saying.
usage of it,
No, it
yeah.
does.
Go ahead.
That's what I'm saying. That let's come right down to Belize. I saw what you did in Belize for black people. Because there are many black people who never like themselves as being black. So when you make a person become conscious of that you want to define yourself for, this is what I think Ubad was doing. And I saw some transformation taking place in Belize City, where I begin to see black people begin to cut proud. I saw it.
And it persists to this day. The one thing I find with it though is that you have to be careful when you lift up. You don't lift yourself so high that you believe that then you are better than everybody else, because then you're guilty of the very same things that you condemn. Uh,
Well, obviously you don't want to develop an exaggerated sense of self-importance. You just simply want to define yourself worth as a human being, pursue your dignity, pursue your respect. And those are the things that at the end of the day will define you.
it'd be good if we stop there, but do we stop there?
Well, if we go beyond that, which is where we have gone today racism is not playing the role as it was back in the 50s, 60s, 40s, 50s. I experienced it. What I think is hurting us today is not racism, it's a self centeredness that we are move away from the collective good to the individual good. So to me, that is worse than racism. It is worse because what we are doing now, even in racism, At least there was a group of people who hung together. But when you move away from allowing your self-interest to transcend the collective and common good, there lies the greater danger in our society.
I don't buy that fully, Mr. Cowie. And,
Well,
and
that,
I,
I know.
I, I, I
Well,
beg to differ a little.
thank God you didn't buy it fully, so I agree with you. You buy it, but not fully.
Yeah. No, because I do believe that what we have seen in some events in our government, our current government, and even to some degree, our government where we had a black prime minister, there was some issues that came up that dealt with racism, classism, and neglect of a certain sector of the society, and they were mainly poor black Creole people, particularly the young men. And that's why I said it is kind of a sticky kind of thing. You don't quite know exactly what's causing it or what's doing it, but in the end it results in a group and a class of people and a race of people that's being put at the bottom of the ladder of economic and social development within the country. And the only way I look at it or see it is that it has some racial inclination. And it may not start out as that, and it may have all these other angles to it, but in the end that's what it does, because it means that those people are not raising up in the society to the level to match the growth of the society.
I had a conversation this morning with an area representative and a minister of state, and he's from the south side. And I asked him what he thinks about the budget.
Mhm.
And he did tell me, he said, I think it's not a bad budget, you know. So I asked him, I said, how much there is in that budget that you think will be able to create an environment on the south side
Mhm.
where we can uplift the parents and the children of the south side of the city, since he's a area rep.
Mhm.
He said, well, I know they will be doing, I know they will be doing some roads and so. I said, well, yes. I said, there's about $6 million in the budget for infrastructure,
Mhm.
including the George Price Highway and the Philip Wilson. I said, but I'm asking you,
Mhm.
let's go to the Ministry of Human Development.
Yes.
How much is in there to help to transform the, the society and the south side of your city where you are?
Yes.
You know, he left me, I know him very well. And he
Mhm.
said something to me. He said, Mr. Coy, we need to continue this conversation. He said, because he said, by the way, I'll be meeting with the Prime Minister tomorrow. I said, well, then when you meet with him, go to the budget before and see how much is in there for human development
Mhm.
directly towards the south side in your area.
Mhm.
And I'm saying that
Yeah.
because I don't want to get into the issue of it's only politics.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
it's not politics. It's
Yeah.
a society and a whole lot of us.
Yeah.
All of us have some blame to take.
Do
No, I agree.
do
I
you
agree.
think maybe though that we have moved now more to a have and have not, an elite and a regular people on the bottom, a pyramid as such, where the money is up top and the poor people on the bottom holding everything up? Are we not there more now than the whole racial thing, which is used to keep us at each other, but is not really a key factor, because you have a lot of millionaires who are black people now. A lot of those sports stars make a lot of money, and they're moved up in status. Are we not now more divided along?
Are you talking in America? Your reference about sports stars?
Well, yeah, because in
Yeah.
America the sports stars
But do
make.
you know it's such a small percentage, less than half of a percent or less than a quarter of a percent that
uh,
that represents. We talk about it, we see those people and stuff, but they
but
really
but but but
are.
but the problem, the thing is, Gregory, they're still black, but they're not treated the way a poor black person will be treated.
Well, you could ask Oprah that when she was denied a pass
Well, they're
into.
isolated incidents, of course,
No,
but
no, no.
in
It's
general.
significant. It's significant. I think Venus Williams, Serena Williams spoke about this in regards to healthcare when she was having her first child. So no, it has shifted a little bit, but it has not made the meaningful. And even at times when people don't realize who they are dealing with immediately, the discrimination is there.
But Mr. Morrison, would you not agree
Mhm.
that whereas the white supremacist group in America, particularly like the Ku Klux Klan,
Yes.
were not so brazen and they was not so bold under the previous president? But if you watch now, how
Yes.
bold they become and how outspoken they are and
Yes.
how much they are showing their racism, their supremacy. And that is because of their leader.
But
Because
I will have to say now that I don't want total thing, because there are a lot of white people speaking out against the justice as such.
that's
So
right.
they're not like one time when, all right, whites were like this and blacks were like that. Now that more and more people, I believe, are seeing the foolishness of that kind of paradigm.
I agree. I agree. I
I
agree.
believe
But
we're
it does not take
stepping up.
away from the point that when before they were more kind of really sinister, subtle.
Well, yeah,
Oh,
those who do it, Joe. Yes, I understand
yeah.
that the dyed in the wool, if you will, ones are, yes, more bold and are more likely to tell you, well, why not like you? Because I've seen people doing podcasts now full of hate speech,
Yeah.
and I'm
But,
saying that's interesting. Yeah.
But
but
if you look at the cabinet of the United States and you look at the Pam Bondi and you look at the Higsett and them, look at their behavior.
yeah.
Brazen, very brazen.
And
Outward.
and it's more harmful today than it have ever been or could ever be, because what's happening, the way the society is changing and the way it is presented now, it becomes more harmful to young black people than before, when they had a support structure, before they had black theaters and black places you could go and have the equal and same type of thing that was over on the other side. Today you don't have that opportunity, so you have to somehow find your way going to a theater or a space that is
I,
not so accepting of you.
Look at
You'd have to explain that to me and leave it though, because
What?
the equal, the word equal, because when the blacks had their place where they could congregate, the
Yes.
Israel was not equal to the whites that the whites had that they were
When
congregating.
I say equal, I don't mean in that technical sense of trying to achieve that level of equal, but I meant they had a theater that they could go to that was a black
Exclusive
theater.
areas.
Yeah, they had a bank that they could go and get a loan that was a black bank. Now that doesn't exist. So if
Is
they,
that a good thing or a bad thing? Because
that was good that was good to that those people were provided with the services they needed,
But
whether it's medical. You couldn't get into a white hospital if you were sick. You had to go across town. You couldn't, now
but
you
now
can.
you can.
Now you can. Now
So
you
is
can.
it progress or is it
Some people think it's not as much progress as it would have been if it had stayed separated and black had developed. They would have had more autonomy and more control.
Who's
Because
thinking
now
that?
what's
Black
happening-
people or white people?
Huh?
That train of thought that you just mentioned, is that black people thinking that way or white people thinking that way?
I think both people think that way, and I think a lot of black people of a certain views have that, shares that, because now it retards the development of black communities.
So integration was not a good thing then. The civil rights movement,
because it didn't allow it. They didn't allow it to truly develop into true integration. It is not a good thing.
so
If
you're saying
they
that America doesn't have true integration right now?
No, you don't. They have areas in the city, in black communities, where they call food desert, where there are no proper grocery stores. All you have is liquor stores that sells you little groceries and stuff. But there are no.
Could that be because when the stores try to open there, they're faced with major problems?
there are lots of reasons for it. There are economic reasons and there are social reasons for it. But
Because
Well, I've been in the Watts. I've been in the Watts, and all those little grocery stores and so on are run by Koreans. And
yeah,
just like Chinese in Belize, they live behind bars.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know,
So
but
that's what I'm talking.
why don't blacks have their own grocery stores in black communities?
Well,
well,
that's what
that is what he's
they
saying.
used to have. That's what they used to have.
That
And
is what he's saying.
yeah, yeah.
And is that what we want to have, Jeremy? Because that sounds kind of like I want to be one racist there. Because
No,
That's right.
it's not racism. It's not racism.
segregation. Do we really want to segregate ourselves and go back to that? Because that's where we came from. And is it progress then? Is it regression?
This
Well,
is what I'm not understanding, because there was segregation, and now that we have integration, now that seems to be a problem.
it is because it's not full integration. Because the people that come into the community, they take the money out of that community and they go and there's no development, there's no benefit from it. They don't go to the church and give a contribution. They don't support the little kids in the basketball team and baseball team and whatever they're doing. It is worse because now the segregation, the integration has allowed them to just go into a one-sided way of extraction. So
You know, they
that's the
say that they
problem.
have that same
And
argument in Belize. They have that same argument in Belize that all the Chinese little stores with the bars, and then they go into all the low income areas of Belize, and it's all them.
Yeah.
There's no black Creole Belizean people running those stores, and they don't contribute to the community. That's been a complaint in Belize.
Do
So
we?
it's
Do
not
we
right,
s-
G Mike, right?
Well, do we
How many
support?
Chinese facilities support your Charlie Burton Park?
What am I gonna say? I'm a Ghana. No, one of them give me an Eastern name for you, yeah, a long time ago.
yeah,
Who?
I mean, I'm not specific. I don't want it to be individual, but the as a collective, that's the issues that we have with integration. In that
But a big question is, are we held down or are we not rising up, doing enough to rise ourselves up? Because that's a valid question.
Well, in the U.S. at times when they had those black separate growing areas, they had them throughout the United States. They had them in Florida. They had them in Black Wall Street. They had a lot of
Didn't they burn that down to the ground?
yes. They burnt it down, and they burnt them down every time. Whenever these progress of black communities come, the Ku Klux Klan was intent on depriving
Put on
the
those sheets and
yeah
and
and,
yeah.
and
But
for,
okay, let me see if I could come back to an issue which is still on the same topic we're talking about. Is it that a fact that our immigration policy has failed us?
yes,
And it failed us in the sense that immigration policies internationally are on about, let's say, three principles. You come to the country because they need what you have in terms of expertise. You come to the country seeking asylum, or you come to the country by descent. Why is it that we allow, and I need to be cautious, why did we allow so many people to come in to get into merchandising? Why did we allow, to make specific, Chinese and Indians? Why did we allow them to come to go into merchandising? If they were to come, at least when the Mennonites came, they came to go into agriculture, which is what we needed. So we benefited from them. But
You,
where are these people outside of merchandising?
yeah, but then where are we as far as merchandising? Because I remember growing up, Charlie Burton was a merchant. He had a shop that was what he did. So there were a lot of I know I think now of Renee's store. I don't know if you guys know Renee on Cemetery Road.
Very well. I know very, very well.
And she has grown. They have grown and got a big place there. So
Yeah, but
some has done it, but many have not.
You talk to any one of the, let's call them I don't want to say the local ones only. Let me call names. Talk to the Castillos, who have been around so long. Talk to the Brodies, the Boosters and them. Talk to those people. And what they will tell you, the truth about it, that the Chinese have taken over the distribution sector. They have.
Yeah.
And the question I'm simply asking, that was not an expertise. Merchandising was not an expertise that this country needed. I thought we had the people here to do that. And
Well,
what can happen to
But
you?
they didn't have the money to invest.
Huh?
Did they have the money to invest in it? Because it takes a bit of capital, you know.
But I don't see any
but
problem.
we had it before.
We have-
What I understand happened was that when the Chinese community came, they start pooling their buying power together. So instead of buying 100 or something, they were buying 1,000 or something. So they were getting a better price, and eventually it broke the back of the Creole and Spanish people that had local shops because they couldn't compete with them with the buying power that they had collectively put together to make these purchases. So that's what I think drove those local indigenous retailers out of
But
this.
you know what I see in downtown? That if you go to one of these Indian stores and to ask for something and they don't have it,
They
they will
send
tell you
their
to hold on and
Yeah.
run, you send somebody to the next store
yeah,
and you'll get it.
yes,
So, but we have never been able to do that as Creole, if you will.
yeah, yeah.
I
We
believe-
don't work like that. We don't work like
But let me come back. In my years at primary school, we had Augusto Kwan,
that.
we had William Kwan, and
Simon
then
Kwan.
we had Simon Kwan came long after. Then we had William Quinto, and those were the Chinese, and we knew them. No,
Yes.
we still have predominantly Belizeans who are running the distribution sector. We had Belizeans predominantly in restaurants.
Mhm.
The question I ask is that why did we allow so many to come to Belize to get into merchandising and into restaurants?
I think when they
Meaning that the immigration policy did
Yeah.
not favor.
I
the
think
people of-
Mr. Cowie, when they originally came, it was with a different precept. They were going to set up different type of manufacturing, small manufacturing scale businesses, and it was never put to the way that there was any balance and check against how that. They didn't come and say, "I want to open a shop. I'm going to set up a shop." They were going to start a small business, and it was left to that point. And of course, buying cheap stuff from China is a good way of dumping stuff on the local market and get our money returned. And I also understand that the Bank of China makes loans to some of the, I don't know if they do in Belize, but in Jamaica, they make loans to these people. They could get favorable interest rate to the Chinese community there from the Bank of China to set up business in Jamaica. And that's how they have partly dominated part of that local economy. I don't know if that's the same, if that same extend to the Chinese community in Belize, but
It does.
that's
It does.
that's one of the reasons why they dominated the local market with
It does.
Well, they
And
also offer
and they get the loan at 2%. Two.
Yeah.
Now, let's come back. I'm trying to get this point clearly. If you bring them here to replace the locals, and then they can get 2% capital from over there,
Mhm.
how does that benefit Belize? Tell me.
Yeah.
How do they benefit Belize? How do we benefit from it?
Well, if I could say something,
They are less than 3% of the population. We just discussed that earlier.
Yeah.
But they control maybe 80-90%.
At the market.
80% of the merchandising. How do you rationalize that as a good policy and a good way of developing?
Go ahead, Spooner.
well, I was going to say what I observed is that the Chinese were able probably to take over because they offer a better service, early morning, late night, cheaper food. When I went to England in '73, the English were complaining because they would open up their stores at 8 o'clock, close at 12, open up again at 1, and then close again at 5. The Indians and the Asians, the Chinese in England, would open 24 hours a day, or they would open early in the morning when people are going to work, and then they would open till late at night, 10 o'clock at night. And these were the, so you had access to food, to services, to things like that that the British people weren't prepared to offer. And I think that's the same thing happened in Belize, is that Belizeans, that interfered with their downtime, getting up
We,
early.
Yes,
they used to take Wednesday afternoons off. Did you know that?
but
Businesses in Belize used to always take Wednesday afternoons off.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
noticed they're not doing it again.
Look at the
So,
Chinese. They open up. They open up on Saturday and Sunday. All for we
yeah.
believe stores close down at 12 o'clock. That's when everybody have time off. You want to do things at your house. You want
Yes,
to
but
go
that,
to a hardware store and buy wood, plumbing, whatever, paint.
yeah, but
The Chinese are there for you.
yeah, but you're leaving
But for
out the
we stores
demographic.
don't.
What's the
Sorry,
population of the
Joe.
UK? What's the population of the UK?
I think 60 million, 60 or 70 million.
How many Chinese did they bring in to do what
60
you're saying?
million, I think.
Yeah, but how
I
many
don't know
Chinese?
how many, but I just know
But
that
I
the
am
stores
speaking
in
of
my
the
area
Chinese,
were
the
run by
Chinese that
Chinese
they
and
brought in,
Indians.
the Chinese that came in for that purpose. It's a small percentage of their GDP. It doesn't. It's a small. What I'm saying, in a smaller countries like Belize, with our population, when you bring in that percentage, which represents maybe less than 3% of the population, no, but controlling the commanding heights of the economy, that is the concern I have.
Well, we
Bert,
should
Bert
be more
Tucker,
choosy.
Bert
Sorry.
Tucker visited us in LA one time for a little talk. You remember Bert, rest his soul.
I know him
Uh,
very
Yeah.
well.
and he said something striking. He said, yes, he said to us, the Creole, when open one shop or one restaurant, and 20 years later, you got the same spoon, the same pot, the same thing where you cook pan. He said, whereas other ethnic groups will at least try improve the quality of service that they provide. They're satisfied as long as they make any profit, but they can live and eat every day. The ambition, I imagine, is missing, and you could be too
I don't
ambitious.
think it's ambition. I think it's entrepreneurial
Skill.
learning, knowledge, training. I don't find that or people are not ambitious. That's the only point I wanted to make. I think we don't have that. We haven't been trained in that entrepreneurial spirit of doing things and seeking better. I had that same complaint to my dad. My dad had a bicycle shop, and I said, Dad, why don't you start selling little tricycles? You don't have to sell a lot. You could buy some tricycle. I could send you like some tricycles, and you sell them. But we haven't had that spirit and knowledge so that we know, okay, he's going to send you the first 5, and I need to save some money when I can't
Do
do
you
away.
think?
I
Do you?
can't do away with all that money. I have to save some to send back to him so he could buy another 5, and maybe he'll add another 5 on it, and then I have 10. That was something that I think is missing in our Belize and Creole culture.
But do you think the Chinese are taught that as
Oh
opposed to
yes,
us?
yes, yes,
They are
yes,
taught it, but
yes.
from where? Because when they came in as
It's their
merchants,
culture. It's their culture. They have a long culture of trading and dealing. And one set of group of black people that has that are the Nigerians. They are extremely
well,
good.
they're hustlers. I tell you
Yeah,
that. Eh?
yeah. I'm not talking about the scammers. I'm talking about the ethical people that work and trade and stuff. They are extremely good people that are versed in marketing and trading, and has that as a part of their DNA.
I don't believe
Also, I
that.
believe too that there is a Chinese cartel in Belize, and those little stores are little satellite stores that they set up all around
That could
the
be true
city,
too.
and they bring in people from China, and they stop here, and then they go to another place, and then eventually they end up in America. It's like indentured servants, just like apparently the Indians are
I'm
doing it
sure. I'm
here
sure.
in Belize too.
I grew up in a time where, when it comes to merchandising, we had the neighborhood grocery shops, Creole.
Yes.
When it comes to tailoring, Creoles. When it comes to cabinet, the Creole.
Yes.
When it comes to the restaurants, the Creole. And we had damn good restaurants. You couldn't beat Bina. Bina was the best. And then we had others that were
This were nice, yeah.
That's right. No. When it comes to even the lottery, it was the Creole. When it comes to marijuana, it was the Creole. To tell me no, that we were not ready and something wrong with we culture. Who was it that brought us to independence? Who were in the vanguard and the epicenter of the resistance to colonialism in this country? It was the Creole. Who formed the first workers' union in this country to fight for the laborers? It was the Creole. So for us to be saying this about them is because we betrayed them. Good night, gentlemen. Thanks.
Well, a lot of them left too, Joe. Joe, a lot of them left Belize. A lot of them left Belize.
No, that argument was made. And what I find with us, we tend to find arguments to show why we fail. We tend to find arguments to show how that we are the problem.
Well, it must be a reason, Joe.
When they come to the white man, they know for find reason for bring them up and say how good they are. No insultment to anybody.
It's a complex.
Me know that I remember clearly when the guy from I try to remember his name, very popular guy from he wrote the book I Speak of Freedom, and he visited New York. Very brilliant African, and he was addressing them. And when the Black Americans came, they came in some blue jean pants were torn. Then come in as slippers were look raggedy. Then come in and their hair unravel. And you know when they begin to address them because they were hollering, they want to go back to Africa. You know what he told them? He said, the way you all are presenting yourself here tonight, that is not African culture. What you are showing is what was lacking in Africa. It was what was lacking. It was our poverty. We are not that. Africans are not that. And he scolded them.
Yeah. Was it Kwame Nkrumah?
Kwame Nkrumah. That's correct.
Yes.
Yeah, he was from
Ghana.
I speak of Ghana. I speak of freedom.
Yes.
The point I want to make, I can speak for what's happening in this city because I born in 1942. And I saw what we were the best machinists. My grandfather, Oliver Cromwell Hyde, when the ships come from Liverpool, he could make anything with the machinery he had. Bearings.
Oliver Cromwell. Wow.
Oliver Cromwell Hyde, that was my great-grandfather. And all his sons, all of them, run the machine shops. So we were talented people.
Yeah, you were carpenters, you were plumbers, you were masons. Yeah.
Of course we were.
That all gone.
And then what we did, that generation fought for us and brought us to the so-called promised land. And then they begin to get better education. They got bachelors, they get masters, they got PhDs. Ask them no. What about the sense of value and the principles that define the purpose of the same PUP? When he speak about being your brothers and sisters keeper, that was the principle that defined the purpose of the movement. Where is that purpose today? Where are we for our brothers and sisters? Look at the south side of the city, my brother. Look at what is happening in the gangs, killing out each other. Why this happened? Because the Creole just happen to be bad. Because Creole just happen to be bad people, bad culture, bad this, bad thing. We condemn our own people for too long, man. It's about time we stand up for them and speak about the past, that they gave us a future, and we are the one we fail them. We fail our people.
I definitely agree with you. What you say, Mr. Cowie. I definitely agree.
Give me, Mr. Chairman.
Good evening, sir. Your excuse. We failed ourselves. Let's put it like that.
But I leave with one thing, Mr. Chairman. I enjoy the show, and I must tell you, I'm not here to be xenophobic. In fact, I love white men just like how I can love black men. I'm a Minikanji. Good night.
So you wait. You got one thing for Jeremy then?
Because he's a white man.
Well, let me tell you something before I leave.
I watching it too, you know, because
Let me
Um,
tell you
go
something.
ahead. Go ahead.
don't
Let
worry.
me tell you something before
Stop
I
pick
leave.
up thing. Stop pick up thing in front of Joe
I
now.
know, I know Jeremy Fowler before I knew Jeremy.
Yeah.
Knew him biblically or just as a person?
No,
No.
was your father a what architect?
Architect. Yeah.
Yeah,
He
he could
was.
draw some shit, couldn't he?
Your father drew a plan for me, the first plan to build a hotel up at the bridge. It was your father who did it. And you know who was the contractor?
William
Tommy
Arnold.
Searle. Tommy
Who?
Searle. Tommy Searle.
Old man
Then
Searle.
Both of you were from the UK, but you were two great gentlemen. Let me say that. Your father and Tommy were two great gentlemen.
So you gave
Thank
the
you.
jobs. You gave the jobs to the white people. You didn't
Well, we
give.
never had any architect then except him. And I want to tell you
No, my
this.
father was the first
Hold on.
qualified
He
architect
was
in
the
Belize.
first, but let me show you this. Who came out of it was a black man named Thornton.
Anthony Turton.
Anthony Thornton, who built the next biggest architectural and engineering firm in this country. So out of that white man came a black man that was successful. That to show you how when we come together as a people with no regards for our color, but for the love for each other, how great a human race can be. Good night, gentlemen.
Yeah, we're gonna miss your input on this next session. First of all, before going any further, let me remind folks that Easter Monday, you're gonna fly see what on this. The Buddy Brown is gonna have a Belizean American Day in the park at Barrel Boom Spoons. We have to make a run out there and see how that stand. That should be nice. Before that, there'll be a bicycle race, big bicycle race, and of course, boom. Easter Monday is Boom Day because there's also a horse race going on at that time. So there'll be a lot of stuff in Boom on that day. In the park here at Charlie Burton, next week, Friday night, the area rep, Devin Daly for the area, is having a movie in the park night at the Charlie Burton Park, where on our newly refurbished basketball court, of course. So we will have to put up on the flyer for that soon. Folks, we're talking about indentured servants, and I want to segue into the Cuba matter because it's on the front burner, burning hot, bubbling, if you will. And the accusation is that the doctors that have been traveling to different of these Caribbean countries are being treated as indentured servants. Jeremy, you got any thoughts on it? Where you, what should be our course of action now?
Well, America is putting pressure on the Caribbean countries that have been benefiting from these doctors that are sent to this country that said that they're being exploited. But apparently, like, for instance, our government is saying that they get their proper pay and they get paid directly. The pay is not being sent to Cuba. That they do a good service for the Caribbean and the third world, also educating young people from our countries in Cuba. So, but America is putting the pressure, tightening the screws on Cuba. I think Cuba is going to be next after Iran, and you've got Rubio there, who's an American Cuban. He's a descendant of refugees from Cuba when Bautista was removed. So
No. He left before Bautista was removed.
His
Actually,
family.
his family left before Bautista was removed. That interesting thing about that.
well, why did he leave? Did they say why he left? That he didn't like the dictator Bautista?
They just wanted to go. Yeah, I imagine move to America. Their people have been moving all the time. But
What
no,
I would like to see in Cuba is I would like to see them have a choice to decide whether they want to live how they're living right now under a communist authoritarian regime, or do they want to have?
but who's to say they don't? Don't they have? They have elections in Cuba?
Yeah, they do, but it's only one party, the Communist Party. You vote for. They don't have opposition.
Some might say that America only has one party. They call themselves by different names, but I don't know there's much difference in the ideology of those.
I'd rather live on the American system than on the Cuban system.
Yeah, I figured that.
I don't see people going to Cuba. Everybody want to go to America. So but I would like to see them have the right to vote in. I just think it was wrong. Like I've said before in the previous shows, that Castro did the right thing by getting rid of a dictator, mafia connected dictator, big American investments there, while many Cubans were hurting. But then he went and changed the system, and he forced everybody to live under his system, and he promised free elections, and he never lived up to it. So I don't agree with that. I believe that Cuba should have the right
But
to
you
decide who they
sound
want to
you
lead them.
sound to be mounting talking points and propaganda, that stuff. Because have you ever been to Cuba?
No, have you?
Yes, 3 times.
Three
Three
times,
times.
and the
Yes.
people that you've met are very happy there.
Yes, they are
Okay.
happy.
Well, I've
And
met
so,
Cubans in Belize that tell me the opposite. So
well, the
yeah,
ones who leave will usually leave for a reason.
yeah, they don't want to live under that system. They don't want to
I've
live
met
under that
Americans
system.
in Belize that will tell you they don't want to live in America. So I
Mhm.
don't know that you could use that as any credible argument,
Well, do
because
you think you could have a show like this in Cuba and criticize
yes,
the government? You could.
uh, well, we haven't been criticizing the government too much. I don't think
No,
we
but
should.
I said, can you have a show and talk about all these issues that we have?
I don't, I can't answer that. I haven't tried to have
No,
a show there, but
I don't think so.
there are shows in Cuba. There are radio stations in Cuba. I don't know that
State radio
America,
station.
I don't know that it's fair, and you seem to be condoning that America can move in and tell these people how
Did
to
I
live.
say that? Did I say that? I
Yeah,
never said that.
in
No,
not so
no, I
many
never said
words.
that. I
Well,
said that I would like the Cuban people to have the right to vote who they want to lead them. That's what I'm saying. I didn't say I believe America should go
but
in there and
how
kick
do
out
you
everybody.
know? How do you know that they don't have who they want to be
From the
leading them,
same
Jeremy?
information from World News.
There it is.
So it's a
There
lie
it is.
then. So everybody's happy there.
There's
Everybody's
a
living
lot
well.
of propaganda. Let me say this. There
Okay.
are a lot of propaganda. You can't just use that as a premise for your argument because you don't know. I would like for you to go there. You know that funny, and I always remember this when Mahatma Gandhi, when India was getting ready to be taken over from the British, when they took back their country, and the British telling, you know what, when we left for here, there'll be chaos, crazy chaos. And he said, yeah, but it'll be our chaos. Let us handle that. Similarly, if the Cuban people have a chaos, and let them handle it, but why does America have to be strong arming everybody? And there's so much wrong going on in that country also. Who can go in there? You know how many people don't like Trump now? I mean, aside from you, there aren't many I know that still like Trump, even people who were staunch supporters of Trump. Who can go in there now and say, you know what, the American people are happy, we got to move this guy. But would anybody even, you can't think about it because of the military might, of course, but would that be okay to do? Of course not. It makes no sense.
I tell you what, you know what, G Mike, you just have to watch how the world operates, and not America does not want a communist country at their doorstep, and the story, and they will do anything to stop it. They haven't gone in there with boots.
But does that give them a right to do that? To
It gives them
determine
their right, because they have
No,
the power to do it.
they have the power to do it. That
Yes,
is
that is their
unbroken.
right. Whether you
No,
like it or not, that is their right. They don't
Well,
want
hold
it.
up,
They
hold
haven't
up.
liked it from
no,
when
no,
Castro took over.
Can
no.
you
That doesn't.
understand? Can you understand then why Russia is fighting Ukraine? Can you see, given that logic, can you understand it then? Because they're
Yeah, I
having
can understand
NATO on their doorstep.
why Russia is did what they did, because
And then
Ukraine
why
was
would
flirting with
America
the West.
then jump in and spend so much money in supplying arms and stuff to Ukraine and giving them money to fight a fight that uh,
Because
I'm
Russia is the
wondering.
enemy of the West, so that's why they're supporting Ukraine. They don't love the Ukrainians, okay, but that Ukraine is a buffer zone to Western Europe, to
and
Poland, to Germany, to France.
a way to engage Russia so that they're not involved in standing up to America and any of those other conflicts that we have going on around the world.
Exactly.
Could that could very well be it, don't you think?
Of
I
course.
missed your point. I missed your point.
Russia being engaged in a fight with Ukraine, being
Yes.
being supplied weapons by Europe and all the other American
Yes.
and such,
Yeah.
are not able then to intervene in some of these other conflicts that's going on that for the most part seems to me very unfair. Iran attacking Iran for no reason. Why? Give me a valid reason
There has to
that
be a reason for everything. People just don't do it for just don't do it for
why
just
I don't
doing
know.
its
When
sake.
you look at the things,
All
some of
right.
the things that Donald Trump is doing, don't you
Look,
think that some of
you
those
don't
things he's done
understand the relationship. Okay, let's talk reality. Doesn't
right?
mean because I'm saying things that I am a supporter of what is going on. Let's just look at the facts. Let's look at reality.
Uh-huh.
Who is America's biggest ally in the Middle East? Is Israel.
Right.
Iran is, according to them, Israel and America and the rest of the Western world are saying that Iran is a threat to the livelihood of Israel. So that is why we are there. We feel that Israel is a
As
stabilizing
as
factor.
was Iraq, as was Afghanistan, as was Sudan, as was everybody else
Well, that
around
was all
them.
a mess. That was a mess.
So are you gonna just wipe out everybody because this little group of people who have declared themselves, and you, a man who has questioned the whole matter of God, they're saying that God gave them that land, so they have a right to be there. And this is, have you seen interviews with people like Ted Cruz that is telling you that their whole objective is just to safeguard Israel because God said they're
Well, see, I
chosen
don't
people?
believe in that. You know that, G Mike. You know that. We've talked about it on this show. We've talked about it personally. I don't believe in the Bible that it says
So then
that they
what
are the
does
chosen land. I don't believe that cannot
what
be an
is
argument that say that Israel is for the Jews because God says so. That's
right?
your God. You wrote the Bible. I never write the Bible. You know,
Why so
Europeans didn't know about the Bible when all of that was happening, when
so
Abraham and all of that.
uh
No.
so
No, so that can't be an argument to me.
what is Israel's right to being where they are? A group of people that was taken from all around the world and
They
say, you
say
know
they
what,
were
you can
there
take this
originally,
land.
and it was that God gave them that they are the chosen people,
Oh,
and
well, it was
God gave them that. I'm not
no.
defending that. I'm not defending that. Let's get it straight. Don't try to put me in that
No, but
category.
how
That
would you
I'm
throw that
defending.
out as a reason why they're there, and then in
I'm
the
telling
next
you
set
reality.
about
That's why they're there. That's why they're there.
they're there because God gave them the land?
Yeah, that's one of their arguments. And then the West felt very guilty about how they were treated in Europe and during World War II. Of course, they're going to
So
accommodate
now
them.
they're going to allow them to treat the Palestinians in the same way
Well, that's what it
because
seems they're doing. That's what
we
they
have to
seem they're
remember
doing.
that we have to remember the evil of the West in allowing what happened in Germany to happen, and in also in their countries, in the United Kingdom, in the United States, in other places, that during the war that was pretty much didn't want the Jews in their country, and that's
It's
the
all
reason.
around the world. The Chinese and the Japanese, the in Rwanda, in Vietnam, in Cambodia. Evil is everywhere. It's everywhere.
oh, I thought you were going telling me that those are countries that the Jews were put out of because you know there's
I
109.
don't know if evil was in Vietnam and in Cambodia and those countries until we introduce it to some
Nah,
degree.
oh, of course not. Of course not. Of course not.
Come on now. Why did we
I
bomb?
don't look here. Look here.
Why
No,
did
you're
we
not going to
bomb those
convince me.
countries? Why did we
It's
bomb
like
those
the
countries?
American Indians. You're saying that they all lived in, hand in hand, and they
No,
didn't
no,
have
no, no. I'm not
weapons, and
saying
they
that.
didn't
I'm
kill
not
one
saying that. I'm
another,
not saying
and
that.
they weren't
I'm
tribal. I
saying
don't believe
I'm
that man is evil. Right now, the focus is on the West, Europe, because they're the new boys around. They're the new boys in town. Okay. We have
Speaking of,
internet. We have a lot of sources. We can see what is going on. It's going to be another force. Maybe it's going to be India. Maybe it's going to be China. Will be the next force. Maybe it's going to be Iran. Who knows?
I think we are quickly coming to the point where we'll wipe ourselves out. I have no doubt that technology, that civilization as capable of us did not exist at some time in our past, and they destroyed themselves, and we are quickly approaching that level where we are going to destroy ourselves.
Yeah,
one of the
I believe that we will be responsible for our own demise. Most
And
definitely.
unfortunately, I think that's the intent, that they're trying to rush this Armageddon. Many people are looking at this as a gateway to heaven, that it has to end for it to for us to get
Rebuild,
salvation.
rebuild. Yeah, yeah.
And I think it's totally ridiculous, because if something like that will happen, it should not be forced into happening. And with
Well,
all
I've
that
given you my reasons why I believe why America and Israel are getting involved in the Iran war. You're saying America and Israel doesn't have a right. So tell me, what should the world do? Just leave them alone. Leave Iran alone. I'd like to know
no,
your viewpoint
Well,
on that.
nobody could support the mullahs and what they were doing to women and the way they have treated the people of their country forever. Since, for the last 57 years or however long the Shah was taken out of power. But I don't know that any one country has the right to make that change. And we did it. We did it. So far, it's not sure how successful we are on the whole thing, because we don't know if Iran could break into a bunch of warring factors and create more problem for the world and be worse off than when it was under that regime. But I agree. I agree that the mullahs and the imams and all those people were not doing good for their people.
but that
Can those
was their
people?
way
Can
of
those
life.
people? Yeah. Can those? You think those people could have? I think what we're trying to do in the West is impose our system of government
Yeah,
in their
yeah, and
culture.
I don't think it's suited for them, because
No, and
it's
it
not
probably.
even suited. It's
So
not
why
even
can't
suited
we
for
accept
us.
it? So why
It's
can't
not
we
even
accept
suited
it?
for us.
Yeah.
We
It's
don't
not, yeah.
accept it because we want to control their resource.
Yeah.
But
And when that resource is done, it'll move on to another country that has the other resources. That will be the new energy form.
My friend in Guyana,
that
Dr. Ali,
uh,
that's where their focus is now. He has
Where
more oil
Ghana,
than, huh?
Ghana, Africa, yeah,
No,
no,
Guyana.
Guyana with
Guyana.
this.
Oh yeah, because of the oil there. Yeah,
Correct,
Yes, yes.
correct.
They have more oil than Saudi Arabia.
yeah.
and
But
and they have only explored, I think, like 15-20% of their area. And
Yeah, and Venezuela doesn't like that too much because they claim Guyana.
yeah, and that was one of my beef with Venezuela, in that, while I like the people of Venezuela, I like the overture they had made to Belize and the Caribbean. I didn't like that they were being bullying Guyana for their resources and their land, their territory, their sea territory.
Yeah.
you were asking me what I thought was a solution there, and what I would like to see happen in the Middle East and with Israel and them. I believe that Israel is an illegal state. I believe it should be disbanded. I believe that all those who were born in Palestine are Palestinian citizens and should be able to remain, even if they want to have their own little city, an enclave, like a Spanish lookout and whatnot. But they should not be able to be expanding like they are and just taking over everybody, and certainly killing people just to get their land and property. I think I'm ashamed, and I don't think how anybody in any good sense could look at that and try to make an excuse for it, or
I
condone it.
think I think the expansion of Israel is what's wrong. I do believe that after they created that state, it had a right to exist and for those people to exist there. Um,
But why do we want? How can we allow that, an ethnic, and not even an ethnic group, a religious group? Because a person can convert to Judaism, right, and become a Jew, and then they then have the right to go to Israel and live. How can we? Should we do that with Christians then, and Muslims, and everybody have their own particular corner? It makes no sense. We're going in the wrong direction, don't you think?
It was a mistake. The state of Israel was a mistake, as we're seeing now, and there's no
Yeah.
solution. There's no solution. The only solution is drive out all the Palestinians or drive out all the Jews.
And who was there first?
They were both there. The
Yeah,
original Jews.
but there
Both there.
were
What you have now is a lot of European Jews that have moved in, and
right.
now they're offsprings. Yeah, but they lived
Yeah,
together apparently under the Ottoman Empire.
that's
When the
right.
Turkish people
They
ran
lived
it,
together.
they
There were
lived
like
together.
4% Jews, and then of course there were the other Arabs and whatnot.
And then the
But there
trouble
was no
started when Israel was created. Then the trouble
correct when they
started,
tried
and
to
then
bring
all the
people.
immigrants from Europe came into Israel and displacing the Palestinians. It's wrong. It's wrong.
I think that the biggest problem that many people have with Israelis is that greed for money. They and if you see the Jews all over the world, they control all. That is the power they have in America. Is the lobby that they have controlled by all that money, and
That's why they're hated. That's why they don't
they
like them.
now. What do you think about the Epstein files? Is that dead, or are we gonna hear some more about that sometime soon?
Well, that's quiet for right now because the big news is Iran. Just like the lady that got kidnapped, you don't hear about her anymore. The lady in Arizona who was the mother of
Oh, I
a
think they
well.
found, I don't know if it's true. I think they found her body in the backyard. That's what I saw.
Oh, really? I'll have to Google it then. I
Wow,
think that
Yeah,
I just found dead. That
that
was
be
big
buried.
yeah,
news on Fox News. I got tired
yeah,
of watching Fox because all it was about that all day. So,
Do I
but
wonder?
yeah.
There
They were looking
anything
everywhere
we?
for her, but I think they found her remains in the backyard. That I saw on Facebook. I'm
okay,
not sure.
all right.
Do
Well, I'll have.
you think, Jeremy, there's blackmailing going on as far as the Epstein files are concerned? You think there's enough in there that it probably sink enough people, in particular in the upper echelons of the U.S. Government?
Well, just the fact that he was murdered in prison, which everybody believes he was to be silenced, but now they have a lot of other evidence with the emails and all of that. I'm sure there's some, just like Prince Andrew. Look that how big can you get? That's the royal family of the United Kingdom that got caught up in all of that. So then you got the guy from Microsoft. He
Yeah,
denied,
they had
denied, denied.
a college professor, a university dean, or
Yes.
something like
Then
that.
you had an Arab guy from the Qatar was involved and minister, and then you have Clinton, in the top there with a young girl. So some big people are being brought into this. So I think there's a lot there, and I say, hey, if there's Trump there,
I
go
saw
out
you
to
men.
Trump.
I saw
Yeah.
you mention Clinton, but you didn't mention the other guy. But yeah,
Which one? Well, Trump, yeah. They say that Trump is involved in it too. Bring it out. I got no problem with that. I'm not going to defend a pedophile,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
And
But
and I think
if Epstein was provided aged not consulting, when you agree to do it,
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah.
consent.
that's like prostitution, or you have these escorts and so on. If as long as they're the age and they're not being manipulated like in some of these the white slavery and so on that's going on with Russian girls and Ukrainian girls and so on, I'm okay with that, and I got no problem with that. But when it's underage young kids, white slavery or black slavery, that where these girls are forced, they're taking their passports away, and they're led into prostitution and all that. I'm not in agreement with that.
Yeah.
So
Do you think that some of these wars that are going on is a distraction and to keep our attention away from
I don't
looking at
I
that?
hate I hate to entertain those conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
I don't think that I don't think that Trump planned this Iranian war to distract from Epstein. I don't believe that.
But and why do you think he planned it really? Because it was. But what gets to me is when he can say, I don't know what I'm going to do. I might get up tomorrow and I'm going to take Cuba next week," as if this man is some kind of the same type of despot that he's fighting against in these countries.
Well,
That's the way he's acting.
he's from New York, and the biggest Jewish population is New York. His lawyer who got him off, his father off with that case about racism when he wouldn't rent out to black couples and so on. He's had Jewish people in his life, and also I think his daughter is married to a Jewish guy who is like a representative dealing with the Israelis and so on.
Yes.
So in his background, he's very Jewish, right? He's not anti-Semitic. He's very pro-Jewish
But he's again one man, and by the American system, equal to all other men in America. How does he get the kind of authority and power to drag the whole nation into this
because
kind
he's
of
the
quagmire?
president. Because he's the president. As long as he doesn't do it unconstitutionally, he can do what he wants to do with the executive orders. He's
But
the president of the United States.
that line is blurred by now, don't you think? Because I mean,
Well, I think
Constitution
that yeah, I
wasn't
think
he
that they,
supposed to have to go to Parliament to get consent for that war?
well,
As far as
why hasn't the military rebelled? Why does the military tell him, "Fuck you"? Sorry, oops, sorry, I forgot I was on.
because he's
I
no,
forgot I
that's
was
all
there. I
right.
was.
Well,
Why don't they just say screw him?
I heard Trump use that word a couple of times on public TV. So I guess
Yeah,
at this point we'll have to say, the bar has been raised on that.
yeah,
But
yeah.
but really, yeah, but it's not America is not set up where the military can rebel. You know that.
Yeah.
There's no
Well,
way in the
America is a
world.
different country now, and you've got a lot of people who don't like what America did in the past and what they're doing now. We grew up in a time when America was interfering with a lot of governments in this area to make it more pro-American to protect their interests. The biggest one in our times was the United Fruit Company, right? And
Right.
that's why the Guatemalan president, a socialist and communist, that was elected by the people who started to nationalize land and give land to the poor people and so on. I think he was removed. He went to Mexico, and I think they killed him. I can't remember his name, but yes, America has interfered. But they believe that if somebody is not same ideology as they have, they won't allow that to happen in this hemisphere. Now, is that right? Is that wrong? It's probably
That's the
wrong.
question.
Yeah, that's the
That's the
question.
question.
It's probably wrong if we are to be honest with ourselves. But if you let that ideology predominate in all South America up to Central America, isn't that a threat to the American ideology? So before that happens, they probably clip it way down the line. They clip it, so
So
it doesn't.
while they're clipping everybody's ideology, they have
Yeah,
one that's nurturing, being nurtured there, that is as unfair as any
yeah,
that they're clipping.
yeah.
That's
Yeah, they
going to
don't
be
want no
popular.
threat to their ideology. They don't want the West the threat, you know.
But
Yeah.
and you explain it away, Jeremy, in
That's
such
just
an
how I see
innocent
it,
way.
Mike. That's just how I see it.
And when you say it's probably wrong, you leave a window open that it might not be wrong. But isn't it? Can't you categorically say that is wrong? That for
Well,
you to go meddle in somebody else's affair is wrong?
okay, it's a funny situation because in the West or in America, say the USA, you have rights, but for some reason you don't extend those rights to other
To other
countries.
people, right? Right.
Yes, one
So
outside of America.
so
So
that
that's
is
why I have
wrong.
a problem. I contradict myself. I understand why America is doing what they're doing with their ideology and what they want to protect, but at the same time, I have to respect the rights of other people outside of America. And like you all say, it's not their right to do what they're trying to do in Cuba. It's not their right what they're trying to do in Iran. It's not right when you have an ally like Israel doing what they're doing to the Palestinians. It contradicts who I am, but I understand why they do it. It's either
Oh,
them.
we could all rationalize. We can all rationalize what they're doing, and we see what they're doing. The point is on: is it just? Is it right? Is it something we think they should be doing? That is where we come down on it. It's not. We could all say, oh, they're doing it for their self-interest. They're doing it to protect
Yeah.
Israel. They're doing it to make sure that I don't know what communism means anymore because it has
Can I
been
ask you
so
something then?
diluted.
Should they not be frightened of Iran? Should they not be frightened of
There was no need to
communism
be
in
frightened of
Central
Iran.
and South
Why?
America or the
There was no need.
Caribbean?
I mean,
Why?
Iran could have let loose a terrorist and they plant a bomb somewhere and do something. But Iran was never a threat, uh, uh, a military threat to the United States. Yes, it could always do
But to its
harm.
interest in that part of the world, though, yes, it would be a threat, right?
I- well, they have a very large population. I think they have like 96 or 90 million people.
Yeah.
But they have been so fractured since the Iran um, thing with Carter, since that embargo, the hostage crisis with that their society has been remained so fractured. um, half the people are for the mullahs and half, and that's probably how it is in most places. Maybe a little bit more now because they have been extremely cruel, and the people are experiencing the hardship, and they want to change any kind of change at some point. When you're suffering, it seems that
You might as well be talking about the United States when you talk about half of them don't like it and the next half and they want a change. And you hear that from a lot of people over there also.
yes,
What
no,
do you think? What do you think will happen in the midterms?
well, it is typical that the party that doesn't have the presidency wins a majority of the seats. So I think that there's a good chance, if the Democrats play it right, that they could be it. But this MAGA group and their organization, and some of the things that's happening with voter registration and scaring people at the polls and stuff, could have a dampening effect and not make
Well, maybe that's a good
some of
time to
these
ask you
things
all.
pan out the way some people are thinking it would. So
Yeah.
I am
Do you
always
think?
cautious about that kind of
Yeah,
stuff. And what are you going to
yeah,
say?
you're breaking up. Yeah,
We're losing you, yeah.
yeah.
No, but
In Belize, when we vote, we have to show an ID, and we also
yes.
have an election card. Don't you think? I see nothing wrong. They're trying to say that it's racist and all of that, and a lot of black people are very upset that they're saying that they're not capable of affording to get an ID card. I don't have any problem with an ID card. I don't think it's racist. I don't think anything is wrong with it. I think because in Belize, I do have an ID that I have to
I think
show.
most people. I think most people that vote have an ID. There's some very old people. I think that don't regularly update their stuff. But
So
I
why are
think
the
that's a
Democrats against it? Why are the Democrats against it?
uh, I
Why
don't
are the
know. I don't know.
Democrats
I don't
against
know.
it?
I think everybody that votes should have some form of
I think so.
identification. I
Yes.
think so.
I wasn't aware of that situation, Jeremy. The Democrats
Oh,
are
you were okay?
against
Yeah, it's a big thing. It's a big
uh-huh,
thing. Yeah, yeah, it's
that
a big
that
thing. Yeah.
they're demanding that people get IDs, and the Democrats don't want that to happen. That doesn't sound
Yes,
right.
yes, yeah.
But if but then, so then it would seem to me then what you're suggesting that the Republicans would rather see a
The
fair
Republicans
election.
are introducing a bill that everybody has to have an ID to vote, and the Democrats are against it because they're saying that it's racist
And
and it's
discriminate against
yeah,
aliens, I imagine, illegal aliens or such.
and blacks in America,
Well,
and a lot of blacks are
illegal.
upset about that because they're saying that blacks can't afford it and they don't have
Oh, I mean, I can't see that. Then let the
yeah,
government afford. Let it be free
yeah,
then.
yeah.
I
Well, just
if
like in
you,
Belize, I mean, I think a social security card is free, right? Or an ID is free.
yeah,
You
I
know,
don't see why
No,
we
a
not
no, you
driver's
have
be.
to pay.
license
I think you
isn't.
have to pay for an ID. A social security card is
Yeah,
free.
Yeah.
yeah.
Which is the ID now?
But I have no problem
You know
with
there
it.
are many
Well, that's
places.
one of your ID, but that's not your.
No, that is the ID in Belize. Your social security card.
That's
There
one
are
of your
many
big ones
places,
in Belize, the social security card. It has your photograph and it has your nationality in it and it
Oh,
has
it
a number that
does.
they can
and there are
trace it. Yeah,
places they don't accept driver's license or any other type of
yeah.
ID. You
The
have to have a
ultimate
social.
ID in Belize is your social security
Yeah,
card.
yeah.
Okay.
So maybe they could do something like that in the USA. And you're saying that is what they're introducing, but it's getting some backlash
It's
from.
getting backlash from the Democrat. I have an American Social Security card, but it just has a number in it. It has no picture of me or anything like that.
Right, right. Yeah.
Is
Good.
the recent one the same way?
Yes,
Your
yes.
Social
They
Security
don't put a
card.
picture on this
They don't put a
social
picture on
security
it. Yeah.
card.
Well, maybe this is where they should introduce it and do that. You know.
Yeah.
Well, why? Because you don't need it as an ID. You just need it as to
It's just the number you need
yeah, just
here.
a number. But an ID card to vote. That's an interesting concept, and I don't know. I'd have to think about that, but I don't see anything wrong with it.
I
In
don't
fact,
either. I
with,
don't either.
with today's technology being what it is, they could figure out a way where they put some kind of strip on it and just pass and touch it and move. No,
Yeah.
um,
Let me ask AI, what do you have to present to vote in America? You know.
Well, before you didn't need anything. You just need to be on the voters list, and you drop off
Oh,
your
okay.
your.
And you don't have to prove who you are or anything like that.
You didn't have to do that. You just declare who you are, because people don't. They'll ask you your name. They ask you your address, and then they check if you're in that polling station.
well, that's basically the same like a Belize. Because when you go in, you give them your name and they scratch it off, and
Well,
they
yeah.
know that you have voted
But
already.
they
No,
give you a card. They give you a card once they find your name and your information. Your voter's card,
you
and
mean in
then
Belize?
no, here in the United States.
Okay. Oh, you have a card. They already have a card.
Yeah, well, no, not a card. They give the ballot information.
Oh, I see
Either
what you say.
either they
I,
mailed it. Either you have the one they mailed to you, right? They mailed every registered voter a ballot.
and then you take
Mm,
that and mark who you want to vote for,
yes, and
and
you deposit
drop it
that,
off
and
at the yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
you
in
vote on that.
Belize, if I remember correctly, you have a table that is made up of PUP, and then you have another table
Correct.
that's UDP, and then you have the boundaries and election. And you walk in and you say, and you give them the card, and they say Jeremy Spooner, and everybody looks down the list, and then they cross it off, and
And
then
you
you
dip
go
your
and vote.
finger. You dip your finger.
Yeah, yeah, and you have to show them that you're putting. If I'm right, that you show them you're putting in your
Correct.
election,
Correct.
your vote.
Well, you have to fold it a certain way so you can
Yes,
see the
that's right. And
signature.
show them, and then you put
Uh,
it in the box.
but Gregory, and you're saying though, I'm wondering how you prevent fraud in that case, because
Well,
you
in
could get,
everything there's fraud. There's no doubt there's fraud in the
because if
system.
somebody is deceased in your household and
Um,
the card comes, the form comes for you to fill out. So a
well,
family member
they
can fill it out.
usually well no, because if that person has been dead for like a year or so, that information is registered through the death registry, and that is known. So if somebody vote in that name, they know that somebody voted illegally,
And
right?
now with technology being what it is, that are like instantaneous. I mean, all the
Yeah,
information is right there. So
yeah.
that's why I was concerned when Trump was making allegations that there are people who have been dead for 5 years that are still receiving Social
Oh,
Security. I find it difficult
I'm sure things slip. I was listening to something the other day in California where for 25 years they failed to update the registry of people that were convicted of misdemeanor and felonies in one court particularly. And so these people have been for 25 years didn't have their conviction recorded as it should. And so now they're the court is a little concerned that it may affect people that are now employed and doing good and things like that when this new information hits the
Yeah.
employer, that this person that's been working in this job for 20 years was convicted of doing something a long time ago. So it's they and it affects, I think, like almost 500,000 people.
How would you rectify that? What would you recommend they do?
Well, first thing they have to declare it, and I think it then depends on if they had those convictions, because some of these people may still be bad people, right? So
Well,
you can't
some,
let
I
that.
mean, would you go case by case and maybe expunge some of the convictions, some of the
Well, I
record?
think maybe they should set a path up so that people can come in and say, I've been doing this good stuff. This is where my life is
Yeah.
now.
Prove where you have
Yeah, and
reformed.
then you could expunge it. I wouldn't want to just expunge it just
because
progressively.
because they weren't yeah. That oh, Angel, you do you know about that, Jeremy?
You
Yeah.
know what? I never voted in America, because I was a resident and you couldn't vote. And then when I became a citizen, there was no elections, so I never participated. So I don't know what the process is.
Okay, I thought since your father was American, your father was an American, Spooner.
No, my father's an Englishman.
Oh, okay, okay.
And he can't vote in England either. This
You're the
poor fellow
second
has.
person in the last couple of days that thinks that my father. One thought he was from Louisiana,
Yeah, I
and
thought I thought he was from the
no,
United
he was
States.
he was an Englishman. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. He
Interesting.
came. He came. He wanted to get out of England, and because my grandparents on my Polish side, a lot of Poles moved to Venezuela. He looked at any British colony that was in that area, and he came up with British Honduras. He went to the colonial office
Uh-huh.
and he researched there, and then he applied to be an architect in Belize. So
Okay.
he did one contract, and then he
Uh-huh.
renewed the contract, and then he broke away and started his own business in Belize.
I
And
see.
the rest, as they say, is history.
Yeah,
What,
yeah.
what since we have a few minutes left, what are some of the big projects that he did in Belize as far as
Well,
you can remember?
the BTL tower and that building there on Princess Margaret Drive, Catus building, St. Mary's Church.
The Catus
Um,
building where Reggie Belize was, he built
yes,
that?
yep, he
He did
did
St.
that. He
Mary's
did the Royal
Church.
Bank of
He did. Oh, Royal Bank of Canada.
Royal Bank of Canada, Nova Scotia Bank, Atlantic Bank.
Didn't do
He
a good
had
job in St. Mary's, though.
um, yes,
Didn't,
St. Mary's. When he was with Rotary, he did that, and that's where he ran into problems with George Price because as a Rotarian, he did free consultation and design and supervision of that church, also of the Stella Maris School and so on. He did that as a Rotarian, and George Price, in a cabinet meeting, criticized him that these English people were coming to Belize, supposed to be working for Belize, but were using Belizean time, Belizean supplies, and so on at a cabinet meeting. My father got wind of it because there was a spy in the Public Works Department who leaked information to George Price, and my father contested it and got affidavits and demanded an apology, and he never got one, but he never got any government work. So that was
but
he
but,
was
but
victimized
it's
because of
not
that.
clear. It's not clear what the accusation was, though. That he
The
said the English
accusation was
people.
that he was working on government time for Belize doing private practice, and it was a lie. And
It
so
was
he
a
demanded
lie.
an apology. Yeah, and he got affidavits from Mr. Andrew Burns from the Angeles Press, where my father bought his supplies from, and so on. He didn't. My father was a very principled man, a very honest man, and anybody who knows him will attest to that. But at the end of the day, my father still congratulated George Price at achieving independence, but he never got any contracts for government, and that's where all the money is. So he
Huh.
relied on private practice. So he did a lot of work for banks, for foreign countries, for GT Sylvania, and local Belizeans who he designed their houses for. He did the church in Corozal, the Catholic church in San Pedro. He did a lot of work, and his protege was Anthony Turton, who
Yes.
he gave all his clients to when he left Belize.
So he was, and the
He
third,
was
and
the architect
third,
at the time.
Turtnen was the first Belizean architect, you would say, because you said your father was the first certified
Yeah,
architect.
Anthony Turton didn't have a RIBA, a Royal Institute of British Architect, but his children do. He made sure that
Yeah.
all his children were
Mhm.
certified with degrees in engineering, in architecture, and so on. So his company is my Anthony got his. It was a draftsman, and he got all his training from my father.
He ever talked to you and
Anthony,
thank you? Yeah. He ever
I just
show
saw Anthony the
gratitude?
other day. They gave my father an award, the Architectural Association, on the Ariel Mitchell,
Posthumously, posthumous, you know.
and he was given an award for his contribution the architecture in Belize.
Was he given an award while he was alive, or did this
Yeah,
happen?
while he was alive, yes, it was a
Okay,
surprise. Like they had a meeting at the Biltmore, and I went there. And Zenaida Moya was, I think, the mayor at the time. Errol Mitchell was head of the association at the time, and Anthony Turton gave him, being his protege, gave him the award at the ceremony. Yeah,
But
So-
what year was this, Jeremy?
it must have been early 2000.
Okay, and your father passed away since
My
then.
father passed away about 10 years later. Yeah,
Ah, interesting. But he did get recognition. All right,
yes.
gentlemen.
I just want to say that the
Yeah,
prime
please.
minister of Belize made a presentation at UB, and I thought at first I thought it was just political campaigning, but then in the end the students offered and asked some very good questions that the prime minister answered, I think, very well. So I believe that was a good part on his, it dwindled down that he ended up doing a good job.
When did this happen?
Yesterday, I listened to it live yesterday.
Okay, so I believe you can get it on YouTube then, no?
Yes.
And also look into tonight's news. There were some comments made by the foreign minister about the Feinstein Group and the connections with the congressman in the USA, and also another tribute to Richard and Carol Foster, who were pioneers in Belize. They were recognized today, I believe, at Nature Belmopan. I just saw a brief, and I'll have to watch the news tonight, for their contribution to filmmaking in Belize and so on. I don't know if you know who they are, Richard Foster and Caroline Foster. Do you know? He was murdered in Belize. And I don't know if you heard of him, you guys?
It rings a bell, but not a distinct
Well, watching
bell.
news tonight. He was
Yeah.
he had a class here in Belize with filmmaking, and he did a lot of promotional documentaries on wildlife in Belize, and he was
Okay.
recognized today. Yeah.
Interesting. All right, we're gonna check the news, guys. Thanks a lot, folks. Thank you for listening and for getting involved. Please like us and drop us a line from time to time. Let us know how you are doing. We'll see
Okay,
why
good
we're
night,
done
everybody.
here.
With a
Good
Kriol,
night.
but we no normal. With a crofty,
We no normal.
and we royal. I am a royal crofty.
Like
My
you.
style sticky like toffee.
You.
You coulda holla say me ugly, but a little pretty girl stay to chase me. Royal crofty, and my style sticky like toffee. How could you call me ugly when a lone pretty girl stay to chase me? Minor, tell you things you make you catch feelings. Your mere existence, you want left to examine. Ebenezer me gone, me know fi feel complain. Believe woman sweet like stew pumpkin. See me, but you don't know me. Confident, say that me bossy. Inquisitive, you call me nosy. Defend me rights, holler at me chancy. Me know this show no mercy, we don't take no back chat from nobody. You know have feel like me, but you must respect me. Tell this more. I am a royal coffee. My style sticky like toffee. You coulda holla say me ugly, but a lone pretty girl stay to chase me. Me cool and deadly. Machine gun Kelly. Machiavelli. Stay ready like Freddy. We have woman plenty. Woman the city, woman the country. You coulda act like you no want believe me. Ask Dwight, that me Bali. I am a royal coffee. Racism is alive and well. And if we as black people and people of color don't get ourselves together and find some kind of identification, you know what I mean? And it's our economical style. Cause you don't know the things say capitalistic like. You hear what I say? Racial profiling is a serious thing, burn without me. Racial profiling is making this one a top ranking. Racial profiling is a serious thing. Racial profiling, so the things that you I cannot breathe, living while black. Much less go to Starbucks, living while black. Up against the clan, living while black. Me holding my life in my hand, living while black. Color and my skin we under constant attack. Master race, master plan the traffic. Hold me back with dollars. Look at the rhythm. Me the one drop, yeah. Movement then just can't